What's up, y'all? Toya here, and I am back with another video for y'all. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. All right, y'all. Today, we are here to talk about Amazon Flex. Good old Amazon Flex. Man, I used to be up on that app like crazy in the beginning. And if you guys have been around since the start of this channel, you would know that, yeah, Amazon, it was that thing on this channel. We was running up Amazon Flex blocks all the time. But all of that changed, and I hadn't touched Flex for a long time until recently. I just picked up a block a few days ago. You guys saw that, and it was cool for what it was, but I don't know if it's really an app that I'm gonna continue to use on a regular, at least not on the level that I did before. So today we're gonna discuss Amazon Flex and talk about whether or not it's still a good gig app to have in your arsenal. So let me give you guys a little bit of background first. So like I mentioned before, I did do Amazon Flex a lot in the beginning. And I honestly was doing Flex about 5-6 months before I even started the channel. And it was great for me. There were some days I was doing 2 blocks and I still had to go do my W-2. Literally, there were days where I would do a block in the morning, go to work, and then after I get off work, I would do another block. I was going crazy on that app, y'all, I'm telling you. And then I introduced you guys to the Amazonathon, which was pretty much when Flex was giving out these incentives where you would get paid an extra $100 for completing a certain number of blocks. So I was running up Amazon like crazy. We did that two times, right? And everything was cool for the most part. You know, I had my issues with the app here and there, but overall it was a pretty good experience. I didn't really have too many complaints. It was guaranteed money, right? Whatever blocks you picked up, you know, that was the money that you made. And I even had one occasion where I picked up a block, went to the warehouse, they didn't have any blocks for me, and I got sent home and I still got the full pay and I didn't have to do anything. So, you know, it was a pretty good app. You know, like I said, I was running it up. I didn't really have too many complaints. It was a good money maker for me, right? But over time, things started to change. Now, ironically, I had this incident happen around the same time where things started to slow down for Flex. And I wasn't really sure if they were messing with my account on the back end or, like I said, it was just a coincidence. But let me explain what happened. So my very last Amazon Flex block that I did for a while, I ended up getting a policy violation. And I do have a video about that. You guys can check that video out if you want all the details. But long story short, I got a policy violation for property damage, right? And I went back and forth with support and everything. And in the end, it didn't look like it was going to affect my account. At least that's what they told me, okay? So shortly after, I was trying to pick up more blocks, but every single time I opened up the Flex app, I wasn't getting any type of blocks. So anytime I opened up the Flex app, there was nothing available. There are no blocks available. I couldn't go out and do any jobs, right? And occasionally there would be some blocks for some areas that I really didn't frequent. So like some of the warehouses in the city or in the northern or western suburbs that were just too far for me to commute to. You know, those will pop up every now and then, but my preferred warehouse and even some of the other stores in the area that I had on my filters that I was willing to do, you know, none of those popped up. And it was really weird for me because Prime Day coming up, you know, you expect people to be buying stuff left and right. And usually when you got more orders, that means more blocks available, right? But no, didn't see any type of blocks whatsoever. So again, thinking that they did something to my account on the back end. They said I wasn't affected by this policy violation, but I wasn't seeing blocks. But even for my husband who loved to do those 4 or 5 a.m. blocks, you know, those are technically the least desired blocks, I would say. You know, even those weren't popping up. So it was just kind of weird for, well, both of us, because like I said, me thinking, okay, they're messing with something on the back end with my account, but he's experiencing the same thing. So we went on for however many months, there just wasn't anything that was popping up. And when stuff did pop up, it was just base pay. And if you remember how I told you guys how I like to operate on Amazon Flex, I do not take base pay. And that's simply because since you don't know where you're going to be put for delivering those packages, you know, it may or may not be worth it with all the mileage that you're driving, the time that it's going to take to do all the deliveries, everything. You know, just this last block that I did, I drove like 30 something minutes to get to whatever town it was in Indiana to deliver 9 packages. You know, granted, I did get surge pay and I completed it over an hour early. You know, it wouldn't have been really worth it for me if I just got base pay. You know, I was always pushing to get surge pay when it came to these blocks, right? So after a while, I kind of just stopped checking for Amazon Flex. I'm not gonna lie. And I was putting my focus on my catering apps, you know, my Spark, and any other app that I technically have more control, because Amazon Flex, if you want to compare Flex to all the other apps that I use, the only difference is that you don't know where you're going to have to go. You know, all of this is going to be guaranteed pay for the most part. You know, I know with Spark, sometimes they can adjust the tips, but everything's going to be guaranteed pay. This is pre-scheduled stuff. You can choose when you want to pick it up. But like I said, the major difference is you don't know where you're going to have to go. You know, I've gone as far as downtown Chicago. I've driven 45 minutes into Indiana. I think it was like Chesterton, Indiana. I've driven to Joliet, which technically isn't that far from the warehouse, but I've gone all over the place, you know, within a 30-40 mile radius of this warehouse. I've driven a lot. And over time, it's like, okay, you got to decide whether or not it's worth putting that much mileage on your car for base pay. And base pay can vary depending on where you live. You know, it can be anywhere from like, you know, maybe $17, $18 an hour up to 20 something an hour. And honestly, most of that pay is going to be on the lower part of that scale, you know, unless it's surge pay, which is why I'm always aiming for surge pay. Because if I have to drive like 60, 70 miles for $50, that's not really worth it to me. Even if I get done early, sure, but that's more wear and tear on my car. So I would much rather do, you know, one, catering, you know, less driving, less time taken. And honestly, on average, I could get probably the same amount of pay that I get on Flex. So with all that being said, is Amazon Flex still a viable app to have in your arsenal as far as gig apps? Well, it kind of depends on, one, your market. It depends on how you want to work the app. It depends on a few different things. You know, I don't want to say, oh, don't use Amazon Flex at all, because, you know, if that's the way you make your money, you know, go ahead and make your money, right? But if you're trying to be strategic in a way of getting your money's worth when it comes to, you know, the amount of work that you have to put in, the mileage you have to drive, it can be kind of iffy. It just kind of depends. So like I said, with my market, I can go all the way to downtown to the rural parts of Indiana farmland with the horses and the cows and all of that, you know. And if I remember correctly, I think they said you can be put anywhere within like an hour drive of the warehouse as far as your deliveries. So that's a huge radius, right? And the other thing is, you know, it depends on the types of blocks that you do. So of course, you know, I've done mostly the package delivery for the same day warehouse, right? So all the orders that I'm delivering, you know, those are people that are ordering for same day. I've done one fresh order. The grocery delivery for Amazon is probably going to be the most profitable. And as much as I would love to do it again, I just don't get the opportunity to do it. Because one, there was supposed to be an Amazon Fresh store that opened up in this area, but I don't know what happened. They scrapped it. And there is another store that I could go to. It's a little bit further out, but I'm willing to go there to do the deliveries. But I very rarely see orders from that location. I think the only times that I saw orders from that location was when it was like nighttime, where it was like after 7 o'clock. And some of those blocks, they're only like an hour. Like I think the block that I did do was an hour long, and I forget how much I got paid. I think I got paid like 40, maybe $50. I can't remember exactly. But, you know, I was tipped pretty good, and I think I only had like 6 deliveries, something like that. You know, it took me some getting used to, in a sense of, you know, getting everything loaded up, but it was definitely more profitable in the sense of, you know, the amount I've had to drive and the time it took to complete the deliveries. So if you have the opportunity to do, you know, the Amazon Fresh or the Whole Food deliveries, those deliveries, you know, those will probably be the ones where you get more bang for your buck, right? Now, I definitely do believe that Flex is a good option for you. But like I said, it just kind of depends on how you want to go and work the app. If you're doing it in a strategic way where you're doing a block here and there, you know, sure, that's cool. But if you're relying on it as your primary app, you know, depending on where you live, it may not be it, because that wouldn't be something that we could do over here. You know, I can literally open up the app right now and there's probably not going to be any blocks. Like literally no blocks available right now. They're not even in the other areas that are not on my filters. There's literally no blocks. It's 9 o'clock in the morning right now. Well, 9:42 is about to be 10 o'clock and there's nothing. There's nothing. You know, it could be a combination of the bot issue and, you know, a possibility of people buying accounts and pretty much doing the same thing like they're doing on Spark. You know, it's a combination of things. So, but it was just very weird for me. Like that day when Prime Day came and went and there weren't a lot of blocks, I was like, okay, you know, it is what it is. But then Thanksgiving came and went. Black Friday came and went. Nothing. Coming up on Christmas time, nothing. It was so dry on that app. I was so surprised. So yeah, and it's been downhill since then. So I don't know. I would love to hear you guys' experiences with Amazon Flex, as far as if you guys are experiencing the same slowness with the app. Are you still making a lot of money on the app? You know, whatever it may be, I would love to hear your feedback as far as how things are in your market, because like I said, just going off of what I've been seeing, it ain't looking too great. So for now, moving forward, you know, for me, I'm just going to keep doing whatever apps are working for me right now. And I've always said that, you know, don't rely too much on one app, because if it slows down, you know, you don't have anywhere else to turn and you're kind of screwed. So yeah, I'm gonna keep Flex on the back end, you know, like I did the other day. If something happens to come up and it's really good pay, short block, because I'm not going out there for no 4 hours. I'm not doing a 4-hour block. I'm not doing a 5-hour block. I'll do 3 and under. You know, a 3.5 block is probably my limit, and it has to be really, really good surge pay. Yeah, that's pretty much how I'm gonna work the app. You know, if it's a 3.5 hour block or shorter and it's really, really good pay as far as surge pay, that's probably the only time I'm gonna take it. Because, you know, that uncertainty as far as, you know, not knowing where you're gonna end up, you know, honestly, that's really what deters me from going back to that app. I don't want to have to drive crazy miles. I don't want to go downtown, having to go all the way downtown and then getting stuck in rush hour traffic, and you can't find parking and all of that. It's a hassle that honestly, it just doesn't make the money worth it. That's how I'm gonna work the app. You may or may not see Flex pop up here and there, just kind of depends on what's going on out here. But like I said, y'all, I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on the Flex app. You know, do you still use it on a regular? Did you kind of just abandon it? You know, what do you guys think about the Flex app? Let me know in the comments. Now, before I go, I have to remind you guys to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you do not miss a video. But I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one. And as always, stay safe out there and keep grinding.